Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mobileye at CES 2025. We're thrilled to have you join us at our booth. I'm Alexis Blay from the Mobileye PR team. Thanks again. Earlier today, our president and CEO, Professor Amnon Shashua, shared Mobileye's vision for realizing autonomous driving at scale. Now we'd like to take you one step closer to that vision and share our vision for building a safe, autonomous future. Before I introduce our panelists, I'd like to get to know our audience a little bit. Can I see a show of hands? How many of you here have ridden in a self-driving vehicle before? Okay. We have a good crowd, some early adopters, some insiders. Okay, now, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but how many of you look forward to the day where autonomous mobility is part of your everyday life? Okay, we've a good amount, some excitement, but it looks like we've got some convincing to do, so you've come to the right place. Our three guests today have been hard at work creating an opportunity for more of you to take a ride in an autonomous vehicle soon, much like the one in our booth over there, the autonomous Volkswagen ID. Buzz. It's one of 90 prototypes currently being tested on public roads in the US and in Europe, paving the way for a safe, autonomous, and smart future. Now, with that, let me introduce our speakers. It's my pleasure to introduce Sascha Meyer, CEO of MOIA. MOIA is a Volkswagen Group technology company that develops autonomous mobility solutions for cities and transport companies. Thanks for joining us, Sascha. And also joining us is Sebastian Lasek, Senior Vice President at Volkswagen ADMT, where he oversees system integration for autonomous vehicles. Volkswagen ADMT is also a VW Group company, and together with MOIA, they're forming the AD Alliance to make autonomous driving a reality. And from Mobileye, please welcome Johan Jungwirth, or as we like to call him, JJ. He's our Executive Vice President for the development of autonomous driving and the leader of our AV deployments. Thank you all for joining us. Let's get started. Sascha, I'd like to start with you. You've worn many hats at MOIA, currently CEO, also CCO, and you've been head of product. I think you're best to tell us about the vision for MOIA. Can you give us a little bit more background on the genesis and the vision for the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us. So, first of all, our main intention is to strengthen the position of Volkswagen as being one of the world's leading providers for mobility. And for us, it's not only about building cars, but providing mobility as a whole. And this, we as a global enterprise took the strategic decision to invest into autonomous vehicles, as they definitely will be a game changer for the whole industry of mobility. And we founded MOIA in 2016, so quite a while ago, actually. And as you said, we are building solutions for on-demand mobility. And if you come from Europe, I think we're best known for our service that we operate in Hamburg. So there we launched our operations with the intention to understand the whole ecosystem. Because if you want to build systems for mobility as an ecosystem, you need to understand each and every ingredient that is necessary. So that's why we launched our service, and we are the largest European ride-pooling service. We operate 500 battery electric vehicles. They're a tad larger, smaller than the Holon vehicle that we see here. We are able to host 6 people on our vehicle, and with this fleet, we have created tremendous positive reaction from the people in the city of Hamburg. So up until today, we launched our service in 2019. Despite COVID, we were able to provide services to more than 12 million people. So that's a lot. And it's not only the customer acceptance that we see. At the same time, the city really loves what we do. And I think that's a very special part of our collaborative approach that we take. And we have been awarded to be part of the public transport system in the city. And so we not only provide mobility for people that pay for it, but we also provide mobility for the common good. So last year alone, we were able to transport more than 300,000 people with limitations free of charge, and thus elevating the equity in the city. So that's a real positive. So now the question is, we operate those vehicles with human drivers. Why do we invest so heavily into AVs, and why do we think this is the future? And this comes down to the question of an aging society, because everywhere in the industrialized countries, we see that we struggle to find sufficient workforce to operate our buses, trams, taxis, trains. And so we know that what we do with human drivers is not scalable to the extent that would be needed to provide a service that makes a significant impact into the modal split of cities. And here comes the AVs into play as a game changer, because for us it's all about the scalability that autonomous vehicles provide. And there's economic reason for that, but the most important fact from our operations and what we see is that we need to have more vehicles to provide a reliable service for the consumers with a great quality of service. And it always comes down to wait times, to the flexibility needs that customers have. And therefore, we need the AVs to be able to scale according to the demand that we see without having the limitations of a human-driven workforce of the vehicles. So that's the reason why we have founded within Volkswagen Group the ADMT and MOIA Alliance, where we build a complete ecosystem for the AVs. So it's not only the great ID. Buzz AD vehicle that we see, where we completely remodel the vehicle, and I will leave some room for Sebastian to talk about that, because he is the specialist, and we use the technology of Mobileye to bring these vehicles into the street as an autonomous vehicle. But we also developed the fleet management solution, fleet control solutions that we need to be able to orchestrate those fleets in the cities that we operate in, and at the same time provide a booking platform to our partners that want to operate autonomous vehicle service in the future. And I think here, if you listen closely, you hear a special twist in what we do, because we offer an open platform. So our platform is intended for public and private operators alike, so they can use our vehicle, our software platform, to operate and cater their services, their on-demand offerings to the specific needs in a city. And this is uncommon. Most of the other players are following an integrated approach. We think that collaboration and the using and facilitating the already existing ecosystems of operator is the way to go, not only for the heterogeneous European market, but also for the US, to be open and to collaborate to provide those services for the people. So where do we stand? I think that's also important. We are happy that last year we launched closed user group testing, like we call it, in Hamburg and both in Austin, Texas, with our fleet. So we are testing our services, the whole value chain as described, in those two locations. And this year we're really excited to open up, to bring more people on board, to understand more about customer acceptance and what is necessary to provide a great mobility service for the people. So I think this all proves a little bit that Volkswagen is on its way to not only build great cars, but to provide mobility, and ADMT MOIA take a pivotal role together with Mobileye to provide this.
It's an exciting evolution for VW Group. Let's get to the car. Sebastian, the VW ID. Buzz has obviously gotten a lot of attention over the past year, the regular version, and now we have the autonomous version. Can you tell us a little bit, why was that chosen as the platform for this?
How many hours do we have? Just in the short, it's a really good platform that could be used for the adaptations. And we took this as a platform, and you have obviously the requirements from the legal point of view for autonomous vehicles, when you need to build in redundancy on the steering, braking, power supply, but also 5G connectivity. This is really important there, and also other stuff which is required to run those vehicles and to produce those vehicles. as certified L4 vehicles that are leaving the factory line as such, and that means exactly prepare for scale. This is what you build into this car from the point of view of the, I'd say, requirements legislation. That's the one of the point. But there is a very important group of the requirements which are related to the passengers. And those are the things that you, in this car, which is close, you don't see, but this is the adaptation also of this car. So you see here the prototype on the stand, which is short wheelbase. We will use for the production the longer wheelbase that allows us to very comfortably transport 4 passengers. And also we done adaptations for transporting luggage. So we have a place for hand luggage inside of the car, but we also, by gathering this extra space, we can use the trunk to transport, I'd say, bigger luggage pieces. And this is very important for the use case like transport to the airports. Okay. So on top of that, we have 4 cameras, interior cameras, where we're monitoring the inside, what is happening inside of the car. And we have also a system which we call passenger management system, which allows you to book the car, to authorize yourself when you're standing in front of the car. You see on the display your estimated time of arrival, and so those functions. And we invented for this integration an intimate layer that we do not need to put a lot of changes to the existing platform of the car. And that allows us very smooth integration when we will, for example, in the common generation, adapt our vehicle platform. We call this MPCI, so that's an interlayer. And I haven't seen anything similar from the competitor. And I'm very proud of this unit. It's a very high performance unit and allows us a very short cycle of the software integration, because we are not touching the platform itself, but we are touching our units, and we can do the changes daily almost. And we see also that it's super important to gather the data that is used for the optimizing your operations when you drive passengers from A to B. That's the one point. And the second point is you are developing your system continuously. And for that, you need to get the data out of the daily operations that you know what you need to optimize. And then when you are in the cycle and the pipeline of the data collection is working smoothly, then you are always in the steps where you can improve your product over the software deployment. So those are the things that we do, that Sasha mentioned. That's only the car. That's what you see. That's the physics, okay? But a lot of magic is happening in the cloud. And I give you some of the example. For example, we have a functionality of the remote guidance. So where the vehicle is encountering a corner case where you need assistance, it's very crucial how fast you can resolve the situation. You don't want to just stay with the vehicle for more than 5 seconds on the crossing, for example. And also the passenger want to see that it's going further. So this is important. There's also the cloud connectivity. The functions in the cloud are functioning so smoothly that you can do this in a very scalable way. As Sasha mentioned, this car there is one of the 90 cars that we have, where we are doing our validation and verification of our concept and the product, end-to-end thinking, not only the car itself or the AD stack. And that's basically the goal for the incoming interactions and deployment of the software that we will face in incoming months. And that will show how fast we can mature with the product. So far, we do this from the point of view of the safety, driving with the safety drivers in the location that Sasha mentioned, because we want to tackle as much as possible of those corner cases. And then when we, from our point of view and our requirements, we will see, okay, that that the systems is dealing also very well with the corner cases, then step by step we will remove the safety drivers out of the equation and then prepare for the scalability of the system.
There's so many pieces that need to come together to make it happen. So let's dig into the tech piece. JJ, your favorite topic, the AD tech stack. Can you tell us a little bit about the milestones that together you guys are targeting in 2025?
Yes, happy to. And for those of us on the engineering side and the technology side, if you look a little bit closer at the VW ID Buzz and you focus on the sensor set, maybe just starting there, what you will see is we have 3 long-range lidars in the roof unit, and it's actually a very beautiful integration. Like when you see this vehicle on the road, it kind of feels like a regular vehicle. And I have to say, I think also for customer acceptance, and it's kind of important to have this beautiful integration, and the vehicle doesn't have to have all of these, crazy roof units and so on, but very beautifully integrated. So we have 3 long-range lidars. These are the Innovis 2. And then we have 6 short-range lidars around the vehicle, so 9 lidars in our Gen 2 production self-driving system. And we have 11 cameras, 7 long-range, 8-megapixel cameras, and 4 shorter range, like fisheye, 3-megapixel cameras on the main subsystem, and 5 imaging radars. The imaging radars, I think it's very important to point out, these are like high-end software-defined radars, very high resolution. They give you basically a point cloud, which is very similar to LiDARs. We have 1,536 virtual channels on the front imaging radar, and 2 side imaging radars, and the 2 rear, 384 virtual channels. So a very rich point cloud. And we are basically focusing this year on the final validation and integration of the production intent sensor stack, as well as compute. So we have switched over from our Drive 58 based on IQ5 to Drive 64 with 4 IQ6 High SoCs, 2 on the main PCB on the primary subsystem, 2 on the secondary subsystem. You can actually see our ECUs right here behind you in this first section. If you walk through there, you will see our Supervision 62, Chauffeur 63, and then the Drive 64, which is actually the production intent ECU for the self-driving vehicles, level 4 stack. And so, big focus, and I myself, professional safety driver, so I'm spending a lot of time actually in these cars in Israel, at our home, headquarters, but also in Germany, and when I have a chance to go to Austin there as well. So I get to experience this level 4 stack, every day, actually, and it's very exciting, actually, to see what many customers, would love to see around the world. And it was mentioned before from the, platform side and vehicle infrastructure as well as cloud infrastructure. We together as Volkswagen Group, MOIA, ADMT, and Mobileye, we are very much about scalability. This is a very, very important topic. So everything we do, actually, we always have, scalability, efficiency in mind. And therefore, I have to say, I can't wait to see the progress during this year and bring us closer to start of service and going driverless in the near future.
Scalability and adaptability, right? How important is that to you, Sasha, that this vehicle is capable of operating in cities as diverse as Hamburg versus Austin? How much is that a focus?
Yeah, I think one important factor is the matter of the effort that an operator has to take once it comes to scale to keep those vehicles in operations. So one thing is to launch prototypes for a limited amount of time, take the additional effort that is needed to make it happen. But then at a certain point in time, you want to earn some money with it. And there it comes into play that you have low effort to keep the vehicles up and running. And that's why Sebastian mentioned some of the aspects sensor cleaning, robustness of the sensor set, the whole integration into the vehicle that is so important to keep the vehicles afloat, keep them ready, and that to a level of low cost that allows scale. Because we have to be honest, it's like not going to be a gold rush in the first years for operator to launch those kind of services. It will still require a lot of effort, a lot of learning, a lot of investment. So I think it's on us as an industry provide the operators with a solution that helps them to actually be able to scale the vehicles also from an economic point of view.
There's definitely a lot of work to be done, but there definitely feels like this moment is significant. And JJ, you've been in this industry a long time. You've seen the shifts in focus. You've seen the sentiment change. You've seen consolidation. What is so meaningful about this moment kicking off 2025?
What's unique is that all the pieces basically are now available. So you have the sensor set, which is available for level 4, level 5, meaning full autonomous self-driving mobility. You have the compute, you mean from the SoC to the let's say readiness with all the accelerators and so on for AI, and then you have the software side, the AI technology. Helping basically from especially the perception point of view, and all of this is coming together now. And this is actually quite exciting. And many of you might have been to San Francisco, already taken a ride in a Waymo, or in other places, maybe in China also, with WeRide or some other companies. So it's actually pretty exciting. And I think the future is already here, if you look at the right places, and basically this decade now, the next 3, 4, 5 years are super critical to actually launch such services with autonomous, with self-driving mobility. And in my past, some of you might know, I've been working at Volkswagen Group. I was actually in the supervisory board, part of the board of directors of MOIA when we founded it back then. And it's very exciting to see the developments actually from the first days of mobility, still with human drivers, ride sharing, ride hailing, ride pooling, and so on, to where we are now. And all of these services are now accepted. They are here to stay. And we will see that more and more people actually will want these services. And I still remember a study we did while I was with Volkswagen Group in London, for example, with visually impaired people, with blind people. They cannot wait for these services to come to their home, to come to their cities, because they're being rejected today partially by human drivers, by Uber or other services, because they cannot easily be found, they cannot wave looking at the license plate and so on. So these people want to have the independence. They are really looking forward to self-driving mobility, to arrive at the place where they live, and have basically that independence back and get time back also, not having to drive yourself. So this is also kind of an emotional part, and really let's say the society is ready for this. And now basically the supply side, I always say we don't have a demand problem, we have a supply challenge, and that's why we are here to actually bring this to market as quickly as we can.
Absolutely. And we have ambitious goals, right? The Hamburg project 2030. Maybe you could explain the project there quickly.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting piece when it comes to Hamburg. So Hamburg has a very ambitious joint target for the whole space of public transport. And it's rather simple. They just promise to the inhabitants of the city that they will have access to shared mobility within 5 minutes, no matter where they are. And Hamburg, it's roughly 750 square kilometers in the surface, and this clearly shows, even with some rural areas as a city, they will not be able to provide this with bus lines, with fixed schedule, or even to build trains everywhere. They need a flexible form to provide this. And so we've, together with the city and the existing public transport operators and authorities, we created a model for the year 2030 where we envision a fleet of 10,000 vehicles, shared vehicles in different sizes, to provide exactly this 5-minute promise to the people. They can take rides either to a mass transit option and use the shuttles as an addition to the commute, or even use it as point A to point B connection if there's not a good and proper mass transit option. So this really creates an integrated system that will boost the acceptance of the public transport network itself and will create a tremendous market opportunities for players like Volkswagen Group, Mobileye, and alike.
Well, let's bring it back to 2025. Maybe we could wrap up with each of you sharing in just a few words what you're most excited about this year. Sebastian, let's start with you.
I'm very looking forward for deployments. So Hamburg, we started with Hamburg. You can learn a lot. I'll give you an example. When you're driving in Hamburg is a very rainy city, okay? And when you driving this car in the night, when the sensor cleaning is going on and you are impressed, then you are just proud, okay? And that means to me also that I would like to see the cars driving in deployment in the city. I cannot disclose in which one. I'm very looking forward for those moments because those are the moments where we do this stuff.
JJ?
Yeah, so from a technology side, I have to say I'm really looking forward to this year because now we have, final compute, final sensor set, final vehicles, and everything, coming together and going into this final validation phase. And it's really all about, basically the last percents to get ready. And I can't wait to see them on the road, also in more cities.
And Sasha?
Yeah, I can't wait to see the smile of consumers after they had their first ride in a vehicle that not only drives autonomous, but also where they share a ride with other passengers they have not met before, and so they can share this excitement about their first autonomous ride together. Because that for me is the most important ingredient. Everything that we do, everything that we deliver, the technology is there to serve the people, to serve the common good, and that's what we all aim for. And so I'm looking forward for the smiles.
Yeah, really big year ahead. Well, thank you all so much, and thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Our staff will be on hand if you'd like to ask any follow-up questions, and we would welcome you at our booth to check out some of the demos we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.